If you're not blocking, if you're not tackling, eventually you're going to lose your spot. That's not theory. That's reality in the National Football League. It's not about whether it'll happen, but when. Some guys hang on just long enough to make it to that later, but for most, the sooner creeps up faster than anyone wants to admit. And right now, the Steelers are sitting right on the edge of one of those moments. The kind of moment where things either click or they crumble. Good morning to you from way up in the air. Because yeah, I'm probably cruising over the Atlantic as you're hearing this, heading straight to Dublin, Ireland. There's a football game coming up that's going to be anything but ordinary. It's not just another Sunday. It's not just week 4. It's something bigger. Not because of what's at stake mathematically, but because this game feels like a potential turning point. And if you followed this team closely, you know what I mean. This isn't just another matchup on the calendar. It's a fork in the road. One direction leads to adjustments, growth, and maybe, just maybe, the kind of cohesion that playoff teams find before the halfway point. The other direction? Well, that leads to more of the same. Missed assignments, missed tackles, and ultimately missed opportunities. That's why Sunday matters. That's why this trip across the ocean matters. Not because of the scenery, or the hype, or the pageantry. Though yeah, all of that is part of the experience. But because we're going to learn a lot about how this coaching staff sees its team. And even more than that, we're going to learn what they're finally willing to do about it. Mike Tomlin's been around long enough that he doesn't panic. That's one of his strengths, no doubt. But sometimes that patience turns into stubbornness. Sometimes he waits too long to make the changes that everyone else can see are necessary. Sunday might finally be the moment he stops waiting. One change already seems to be in motion, and that's at inside linebacker. Terrell Austin made it official, even if he didn't spell it out entirely. That Cole Holcomb is going to be getting more reps, and you don't need a decoder ring to figure out what that really means. Holcomb is about to take Peyton Wilson's spot on early downs. It's happening, and it's probably starting in Dublin. Let's be clear, this isn't about throwing Wilson under the bus. The kid can move. He's got serious sideline-to-sideline speed. And when he actually figures out what's going on in front of him, he's quick enough to get there. But that's just it. The figuring out part hasn't come quickly enough. And in this league, instincts matter just as much as athleticism. Maybe even more. The Steelers hoped Wilson would grow into a 3-down linebacker. They saw the coverage skills. They saw the raw tools. And they believed, or at least wanted to believe, that the run-stopping part of his game could catch up. It hasn't. And the tape doesn't lie. You've seen it. The hesitant steps, the wrong angles, the moments where he's clearly thinking instead of reacting. And in that split-second delay, the opportunity disappears. That's how running backs get through untouched. That's how drives keep going. And that's how teams lose winnable games. Now compare that to Holcomb. The guy missed a ton of time, yes. And no one really knew what version of him would come back this year. He passed all the tests in training camp. He looked fine physically. But still, it's hard to unsee the injury that took him out last season. The hesitation wasn't just from fans or media. It was internal too. There's a difference between cleared and ready. But last week, Holcomb looked ready. 37 snaps, 7 solo tackles, 1 assist, and most importantly, a forced fumble that showed off not just effort, but awareness. That's the part that Wilson's still learning. Holcomb knew where to be, how to get there, and what to do once he arrived. That matters. Now, to be fair, and let's be fair, Wilson didn't exactly disappear. He had 5 solo tackles and 2 assists of his own. The production wasn't worlds apart. But again, this isn't just about numbers on a stat sheet. You've got to watch the game. You've got to use your eyes. And if you've been paying attention, you know what I'm talking about. Wilson's speed is real. He flashes. But when you're seeing those flashes from behind the play, that's a problem. He's chasing, not dictating. He's reacting, not anticipating. And if your linebackers are always arriving second, then your defense is losing first. And look, it's not like he's the only one underperforming. Caleb Johnson made one costly rookie mistake. And guess what? He's out. Just like that. It doesn't matter how much upside you got if you're giving up game-changing plays. Coaches don't have the luxury of waiting forever. Not when the schedule keeps coming and the margins keep shrinking. The truth is, when a team starts slow, whether that's on the scoreboard or just on the field, There's this creeping fear that maybe this is just who they are, that maybe it won't get better, but it can get better. And the reason it gets better is because decisions get made. Real ones, painful ones, necessary ones. Wilson might be a better player someday, maybe even soon. But Sunday, he's going to be watching more than he's playing. Because this team needs tackles made near the line of scrimmage, not 4 yards down the field. And Holcomb, for now, looks like the guy who can deliver that. And that brings us back to the core issue with this defense. It's not scheme. It's not alignment. It's not even talent. It's execution, or more specifically, the lack of it. The Steelers' defense is missing too many tackles. Flat out. Through 3 games, they've missed over 30. That's not sustainable. That's not championship football. That's not even wild card football. And yeah, part of that might be the emphasis on splash plays. Stripping the ball. Going for the knockout punch instead of just wrapping up. Sometimes that works, like it did in Foxborough when they came away with 5 takeaways. But sometimes, it just leaves you watching the back of a jersey as the runner breaks free. It's a balancing act. You want turnovers. You need them. But if you're constantly chasing splash at the expense of fundamentals, then the house falls apart. No matter how exciting the highlights look. And this is the part where coaching becomes crucial. It's not enough to preach standard is the standard if guys aren't living up to it. You got to make changes. You got to hold people accountable. And most of all, you got to stop pretending that potential is enough. Because potential doesn't stop a running back on 3rd and 3. Potential doesn't bring a receiver down after a screen. Potential doesn't make the playoffs. Production does. And that's why Sunday in Dublin isn't just a cool international showcase. It's a pressure cooker. It's a game where eyes are going to be locked on this roster, not just to see if they can win, but to see how they go about trying. Who lines up on the first snap? Who gets pulled after a mistake? Who steps up when it matters? And who quietly fades to the sideline? The thing with the Steelers team is that everything feels almost solid on defense, almost clicking on offense, almost dangerous in special teams, but almost doesn't get you wins in this league, not consistently. And after a few weeks of watching, it's clear that the issues go deeper than just execution. They're structural, philosophical, and at times, they feel downright avoidable. Take the missed tackles, for example. It's easy to just count them up and shrug it off like it's an early season thing. Guys still settling in, still getting their feet under them. But when it's happening across the board, starters, backups, veterans, rookies, it's no longer a coincidence. It's a pattern, and patterns demand attention. Now, some of it comes down to the obsession with creating turnovers. Mike Tomlin's always been a big believer in splash plays, and when it works, it changes everything. The entire momentum of a game can swing on a strip sack or a fumble recovery. And no one's going to complain when the defense punches the ball loose and flips the field. But here's the problem. Not every play is a splash play waiting to happen. Sometimes the smarter move, the winning move, is just wrapping a guy up and putting him on the ground. There's no highlight reel in that, but there's value. There's stability. And right now, that's what this team needs more than anything. Stable, fundamental football. In the game against New England, for all the praise the defense got for those takeaways, and they did matter, let's not pretend everything was perfect. There were still blown coverages, still sloppy angles, still guys diving at air. It's the kind of stuff that doesn't always show up in the box score, but it shows up on tape. And it shows up on the scoreboard when drives stay alive. That's why the return of someone like Deshaun Elliott could make a difference. We've barely seen him since the opener, but this is a veteran who understands both technique and timing. He knows how to finish tackles, not just initiate them. And if he's healthy, if he's fully ready to go, he's got the potential to bring a little more control to that secondary, the kind of control it desperately needs. Same goes for Holcomb. It's not just that he hits hard. It's that he hits right. He finds a gap. He reads the play. And he makes the tackle where it needs to be made, not 5 yards down the field, not after chasing someone into the sideline. Right there, in the hole, at the point of attack. That's what this defense is supposed to look like. Because this defense, on paper, is supposed to be elite. What? Fitzpatrick, Highsmith, Ogunjobi. There's real talent here. But talent without cohesion is just chaos. And too often, This group looks like 11 guys trying to make something happen individually instead of one unit flowing together. That disconnect is showing up in more than just tackling. It's in the communication, in the hesitation. You'll see moments where someone flashes into the backfield. Great burst, great instinct, but nobody's behind him to clean it up. Or you'll see a receiver come across the middle untouched because the zone responsibilities weren't passed off properly. These are the kind of details that championship defenses handle with ease. Right now, Pittsburgh isn't there. But again, this doesn't mean the sky is falling. Not yet. There's still time. And that's what makes this upcoming stretch so fascinating. After this international game, the Steelers get a bye. Then come 2 divisional matchups, games that will define the direction of this season. That bye week is more than just rest. It's a window. It's a rare moment where the coaching staff can actually install meaningful changes, not just patchwork solutions. And that's when we're really going to learn what kind of adjustments Tomlin and his crew are willing to make. Are they going to lean further into guys like Holcomb? Are they going to keep trusting the same offensive line that's struggled in pass protection and hasn't generated consistent push in the run game? Are they finally going to admit that some personnel decisions just haven't worked out and that it's okay to pivot? Because that's the thing about the NFL. It's not about being right in week 1. It's about being adaptable in week 5. It's about recognizing what isn't working and having the courage to change it, even when that means admitting a draft pick isn't ready or a veteran is past his prime. The best teams do that. The Steelers used to be one of those teams. That's why these next couple of weeks feel like such a crossroad. There's enough talent here to compete with anybody. But there's also enough inconsistency to fall behind fast. 1 or 2 more bad games, and the pressure builds. The media gets louder. The locker room gets tighter. The belief starts to crack. Or the opposite happens. The defense tightens up. The tackling improves. The roles get clearer. And suddenly, those 3-yard gains on first down become 1-yard gains. Those 3rd and 5s become punts. And the offense, with a little breathing room, starts to find rhythm of its own. Because let's not forget, this defense was built to carry the load. That's been the philosophy from the beginning. Let the defense dominate, create turnovers, give the offense short fields, and play complementary football. But if the defense is breaking tackles and letting drives extend, that entire model falls apart. That's why the tackling matters so much. It's not just about pride or technique. It's about identity. It's about who this team is supposed to be. And right now, the identity feels shaky. Is this still a hard-nosed, punch-you-in-the-mouth defense? Or has it become a group that relies too heavily on big plays to cover up the basics? We'll find out soon. Because Dublin won't just be a cool setting for a game. It's going to be a spotlight. The eyes of the league will be watching, not just to see if the Steelers win, but to see how they look doing it. Are they physical? Are they sharp? Are they efficient? Or are they still scrambling to figure themselves out? And if they come out flat, if it's another game filled with missed tackles and missed chances, then that bye week becomes less of a rest and more of a reckoning. Decisions will need to be made. Reps will be reallocated. And the tone for the rest of the season will be set. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers are swirling around the Steelers practice facility after what was supposed to be a routine training session turned unexpectedly heated. Sources close to the team report that tensions flare between rising star Jaden Pickens and veteran Porter Jr., culminating in a series of shoves and loud exchanges that left teammates and staff momentarily stunned. Eyewitnesses say the altercation occurred near the end of practice, a time when focus and fatigue often collide, creating the perfect storm for tempers to rise. Pickens, known for his aggressive style and relentless drive, reportedly got into a disagreement with Porter Jr. over positioning during a scrimmage drill. What started as a verbal spat quickly escalated, with both players visibly gesturing and raising their voices, eventually resulting in physical contact. Brief shoves rather than outright punches, according to insiders. While the incident lasted only a few tense moments, it's already generating buzz among fans and analysts alike. Some suggest this clash could mark a turning point in the dynamic of the team's offense, particularly as Pickens continues to assert himself as a rising talent, while Porter Jr. seeks to maintain his established presence on the roster. Teammates are reportedly trying to smooth over any lingering friction, but the scene has left a lingering sense of drama within the locker room. Coaches have yet to comment publicly, and neither player has issued a statement, fueling speculation that internal discussions are ongoing. Could this be a sign of an emerging rivalry that will push both athletes to new heights, or a momentary lapse in composure blown out of proportion by the intensity of Steelers training? For now, fans are left to dissect every sidelong glance and shouted word caught on cameras or relayed by insiders. With the regular season looming, all eyes are on Pickens and Porter Jr. to see whether this episode is a minor hiccup or the start of a more combustible dynamic. One thing is certain: the Steelers' training facility will not be short on drama anytime soon, and the league is watching closely, eager to see whether this burst of fire translates to sparks on game day. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.